Conquest of Makkah. The Quraysh finally broke the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. They helped the tribe of Banu Bakr, their allies, with weapons and men against Banu Quzayh, the Muslims' allies, in which Banu Quzayh lost a number of their men. Banu Quzayh appealed to the Muslims for help on the basis of their allegiance to them. All preparations were done in secret so that the Muslims could advance upon the Quraysh by surprise, guarantee victory, and minimize the loss of lives. They were able to descend upon Quraysh unexpectedly with a military force larger and better equipped than anything Quraysh had ever seen before. The leaders of Quraysh were shocked to see the fires of the Muslim army filling the night sky. They went out to assess the situation and were dumbstruck by the sight of the Muslims' cavalry. They were Abu Sufyan, Badal bin Warqa, and Hakim bin Hazm. They were led to Allah's messenger. They very soon declared their entry into Islam and their surrender. They requested a general amnesty for Quraysh and it was granted. The move to Makkah took place in Ramadan 8 AH. The Muslim force was 10,000 soldiers. Allah's messenger entered Mecca in humility, in humble devotion to Allah. When he reached the house, he broke the idols and defaced the graven images, heralding the fall of the last stronghold of idolatry, the triumph of monotheism, and the extension of Islam's authority over the Arabian Peninsula. Battle of Hunain. As they began to harbor hopes of winning the laurels by bringing the Muslims upon their knees, the tribe of Hawazin saw a godsend in the fall of Quraysh to build up their fame on the declining prestige of the Quraysh. It was the 10th of Shawwal, 8 AH, when the army reached Hunain, a wadi situated between Makkah and Taif. The Prophet mobilized 12,000 soldiers, where the pagans of Hawazin came with 20,000 soldiers in addition to their women, children, and their cattle. The result of the battle was a great victory for the Muslims over their enemy, and the captives of Hunain numbered 6,000. The spoils included 24,000 camels, 40,000 or more goats, and 4,000 ounces of silver. The Battle of Taif. The reason for this battle was to get hold of the warriors of Thaqif who fled from Hunain and made a retreat to Taif. This battle took place immediately after the Battle of Hunain. The Prophet used for the first time catapults in the siege of Taif whose ingress and egress were completely blocked. The arrows shot by the enemy took its toll on the lives of several Muslims, 12 soldiers. The siege continued for some 25 to 30 nights. Allah had not willed the fall of Taif. So the Prophet gave orders to lift the siege and depart. The expedition to Tabuk. The purpose of the expedition was to discourage the growing belligerence of the neighboring forces to the north with a show of strength. The move to Tabuk took place in Rajab, 9 AH. Tabuk was situated halfway between Medina and Damascus, about 700 kilometers from Medina. The march was against Romans and their allies of the Arabian tribes of the north. The Muslim force was 30,000 soldiers. When the Prophet saw that there was no movement of troops by the enemy who seemed to have abandoned their military mobilization of the border towns, he gave orders for the return march, the objective of the expedition having been achieved. The Year of Deputations. The Prophet of God felt happy on the arrival of a deputation from Tujib. They asked questions about a number of things and the Prophet got the answers to their questions written for them. Then they made a request on being told more about the Quran and the Sunnah, which caused the Prophet to express fondness for them. He instructed Bilal to entertain them well. However, they stayed but for a few days with the Prophet and expressed the desire to return to their homes. When they were asked why they wanted to depart so soon, they replied, "We want to go back to tell our people how we met the Messenger of God, what talks we had with him and what replies he gave to our questions." Thereafter they returned and again called upon the Prophet during the pilgrimage in 10 AH when the Prophet was at Mina. Deputation also called upon the Prophet from Bani Fazara, Bani Asad, Bara and Adhara, and all of them accepted Islam. The Prophet promised them the capture of Syria, but forbade them to have recourse to seers for divination of the future and commanded them to cease offering the sacrifices they had been doing hitherto. He also told them that only the sacrifice on the occasion of Eid al-Adha was lawful for them. When the delegations of Bali, Daimura and Colin called upon the Prophet, he asked them about the idol of Colin to which they had been paying divine honors. They replied, "God bless you. God has replaced it by what has been brought by you." There are, however, a few elderly persons and senile women who are devoted to it, but we will break it when we go back. Deputations also came to the Prophet from Moharib, Ghassan, Gamid, and Naqay. The envoys of Arabian tribes coming to Medina learned about Islam and its institutions, watched the graceful and genial behavior of the Prophet, and benefited from the company of the Prophet's companions, may Allah be pleased with them. Tents were often set up for them in the courtyard of the Prophet's mosque, from where they saw the Muslims offering prayers and reciting the Quran. They spoke plainly and frankly, asked whatever they wanted while the Prophet replied to their questions in all sobriety, explained the wisdom of Islam and quoted excerpts from the scripture which were instrumental to their certitude and peace of heart.